Good morning, everybody. My name is John Otero. I'm with DRI Ease and Legend Brands. It's great to have you join us this morning. We know your schedules are very tight, so for you to allow us to educate you on some new information, we do appreciate that. We also have Darren Hudema. Darren, how long have you been in the industry?
36 years, John.
And you also did, you're also an IRCRC instructor as well, right?
I'm an IRCRC WRT ASD instructor, and I've been teaching for DRI Ease since 1999.
Time flies by so fast. I appreciate you joining in on this webinar. I know that you also had attended the, the National Wood Flooring Association?
Yeah, attended their convention up in St. Louis back in the early spring, and saw some really good opportunities and areas of concern that the industry is addressing related to moisture-related issues and hardwood flooring and other types of flooring materials as well.
Excellent. So we are very excited to have Jayne Canty join us today. She has over 25 years industry experience, and Jayne, I appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to learning more about some of this new technology that Protimeter has developed. So the floor is yours, Jayne. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present this morning. Just so you all know, I'm the National Account Manager for Protimeter. I've been doing this for a long time, for 25 years to be exact. Mostly with Protimeter, but I've also been involved with our competitors as well. So it's my pleasure to show you a couple new products, the first being our concrete kit to measure and test moisture in concrete slabs. According to the ASTM standard F2170. ASTM standing for the American Society for Testing and Materials. F2170 is the standard test number.
Hey, Jayne, can I interrupt real quick? And I apologize to the audience for interrupting. If you have any questions, please type them out in the question box or the chat box, and we'll be glad to go over some of those either in the middle of the presentation or at the end. All of you are muted just because there's so many of you on the line right now. We would just have a lot of feedback and noise, background noise. But if you do have any questions during the presentation, please type them out, and we'll be glad to get with Jayne and get those answered for you. So I apologize, Jayne, for interrupting you.
Oh, that's okay. So just to give you a little bit of background on Protimeter, I wanted to include some information on sort of who we are and what this funny name of Amphenol means and how it relates to us as Protimeter. For many years, we were owned by General Electric up until about a year ago when they sold us to Amphenol Corporation, a $2.5 billion company based out of Wallingford, Connecticut. We are part of a group of advanced sensors products ranging from temperature, so that includes things like thermistors, to pressure, automotive and healthcare pressure sensors. For instance, the pressure sensors that tell you your tire's flat, to the CPAP machines that people use to sleep at night, the pressure sensors that are involved in those machines. Validation for critical pharmaceutical applications and sterilization, as well as gas and moisture industrial applications for humidity, temperature, and CO2. Protimeter, the Protimeter product group, which we will always go by that name, falls under that umbrella. This gives you an overview of our facilities globally. We're located in 11 locations worldwide, and these locations range from manufacturing, services, and research and development. So we take pride in our expertise in the sensor business, and we're global leaders with regard to sensor technology and, keeping on the forefront of leading edge development. So this I use just to give you an idea of the scope and our expertise in sensors and sensor sensor production. Our new line of sensors, and it is an updated and refreshed product line, we like to call it, is now in, we've moved from our color yellow to color gray. So you'll know that all our newer products are gray in color. And this is just a sampling of our latest instruments. But to give you a little bit of background, Protimeter came on the scene about 60 years ago in England. A basic pin-type meter was developed, and actually that's where the name came to be. Two words put together, one word for protect and one word for timber, and Protimeter, combining those two words, came to be. So it was really a pin-based meter designed to measure moisture and monitor moisture in wood, because as you all know, moisture in wood especially creates havoc. So that was the advent and the genesis of our meter years ago, over 60 in England. We then combined technologies from pin-based meter technology to pin and pinless in one. That's our Survey Master. It's probably the best-selling moisture meter in the world. To handheld hygrometry, to our top-of-the-line instrument, the MMS2, which is that larger meter pictured on the screen there. And this is the meter that's the centerpiece for our new concrete kit that I will get into much more detail about. This is a shot of our new Protimeter MMS2 Concrete Kit, and there's the MMS2 in the center there with all the components of the kit. This concrete kit is supplied in a durable, hard carry case with a molded foam insert. So every component has a place and every component is protected. It's also nice so you can see perhaps what you've left behind on a job because there's a missing slot. So, you know, there's a lot of advantages of this nice carry case that we provide with this instrument. So since the MMS2 is the foundation of the kit, I wanted to go over some key points, some key benefits of that meter prior to getting into the concrete test procedure. So the MMS2 is a very, very powerful all-in-one instrument. It ranges in function from pin to pinless and hygrometry, so you can get an idea of your moisture in materials as well as an indication of what's going on in your ambient environment with regard to relative humidity and temperature. This meter also incorporates an infrared surface temperature sensor. All these features that I've mentioned will be used when conducting the F2170 ASTM concrete test. So as I go through these, keep these in mind as we go through because we will apply that to the concrete test. This MMS2 updated meter has a great new ergonomic design. It's got a very easy to read color screen. It operates on a 9-volt battery. And it's also got a very, very easy to use user menu. And this is a picture of it here. I've zoomed in on the buttons, on the rubber buttons, just to give you an idea of how easy it is to use and how visible the features are of the meter there. So to use the screen, you actually press that leftmost button to navigate up and down your main menu. And in this menu, you'll see all the features of the meter. And we'll go through these features real quick, but the features range from pin to pinless to relative humidity, temperature, surface temperature, etc. That orange button to the right is the button that you depress to get readings of surface temperature. So again, this is an important piece of the concrete test as well. In addition, it's got user settings that you can switch the instrument from Celsius to Fahrenheit. You can change the date and the time. You can also change the auto on and off feature, which in some cases will conserve battery life of that 9-volt battery. You can adjust the brightness, the audible tone, and you also use this particular function to upgrade the firmware. And we'll go through these in a second. The pin mode of the meter, which is the first feature that you see on that user menu there, enables you to use the meter to measure moisture in wood and in materials using the pin measurement. So the pins are mounted on the tip of the meter. It's calibrated to give you % moisture content in wood and the wood moisture equivalent in other materials. Additionally, we have also built in some calibrations for wood, so you're able to scroll through the more popular wood calibrations and actually preset the meter to get your wood moisture readings on the screen for that particular wood species. Also, you can plug in our accessories to the side of the meter. So that includes our accessories like the popular hammer electrode that would plug into the tip of the meter, as well as our various extension leads that we've produced. The hammer electrode is useful for wood. You can take moisture readings at depth and basically pinpoint your areas of moisture intrusion or moisture problems at depth. The next mode and the next feature on the user screen is our pinless mode of measurement. It's based on radio frequency, and that sensor, that radio frequency, will penetrate up to 3/4 of an inch into the material you may be testing. It's a nice feature, and actually just before this webinar I took a picture of the meter on my desk to give you an idea of the fact that this particular mode of measurement is unaffected by surface moisture. So if you consider that this sensor, this mode of measurement, gives you an average of what's going on from the surface of the material under test up to 3/4 of an inch, it's giving you that average. So on this slide here, I show you what my dry standard reading is on my desk. And it's giving me a reading of 150 points out of 1,000 points. I sprayed some water on it and got very little change of my reading, up about 11 points to 161. So you can see that you won't get a full-scale reading because you placed it on a wet or condensing surface. You get little to no change in the reading because it's giving you an average of what's going on through that 3/4 of an inch. So that surface film of moisture is a very small percentage of that entire thickness.
So Jayne, I have a question for you. So do other meters, could that affect their readings if the surface is wet then?
Yes, you know, the competition out there, especially the meters where you can see the soft electrode pads on the belly of the meter, the first film of moisture that those electrodes detect will give you a false positive reading if in fact the rest of that material is dry.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to be careful here, but this is just an example of how our meter works in that particular situation. The next mode of measurement with the MMS2, this is very important to remember for the concrete testing because what you're doing is you're measuring readings of relative humidity. So the MMS2 has a sensor, a removable sensor, mounted on the back of it that measures humidity and ambient temperature. That sensor again is removable, so if ever you need to buy additional sensors or you know, if you drop it in water and it gets damaged, you're never without your meter. You just buy a new sensor and you have the full functionality of that meter without having to give up your meter to send it back to us for service or repair. You simply replace the sensor. It also has your psychometric functions included in the meter as well. So you're able to get readings of dew point, the important grains per pound, enthalpy, and vapor pressure. So that's also a selection of the user menu that you saw there in the beginning of the presentation and that you can navigate through. With readings of relative humidity and temperature, As you all may know, if you have also surface temperature, you're able to determine dew point. So a terrific function of this meter is that when you depress that surface infrared button to get your surface temperature readings, you can actually scan the surface with that surface IR and watch your reading on the meter. And if you're in a condition where the surface is cold enough for condensation to occur, you will get an indication of that on the surface of the meter. In this case here, the conditions are not right for dew point to be forming or for condensation to be forming on that surface. But if that were to change, you'd see that bottom bar there change from green to yellow, which indicates risk of condensation, to red, which indicates a situation where condensation is occurring or where dew point has been reached. The MMS2 also has the capability to log your results with a date and a timestamp. And you can actually log up to 8,000 results and manipulate it in Excel format. So there's a USB port located on the bottom of the very end of the instrument there that you hook up to your computer that gives you the capability to download the results and manipulate them on your computer. So that's basically the features of the instrument in terms of what it's capable of, its benefits, and the advantages to actually having it as a complete diagnostic tool on the job. So ranging from the pin mode to the pinless mode to hygrometry to the condensation piece, it's a very, very versatile meter to have out on a job, and we're very excited now that we're able to include this instrument in terms of the centerpiece of our concrete kit in order to conduct this ASTM F21 standard test. So now that you know its place in the kit, I'm going to be able to show you now the pieces and the parts of the kit, how they all relate to one another, and then we'll go through a step-by-step slideshow of actually what it takes to do this test and to get some good results and what the results mean.
Jayne, I have a quick question. Will you be talking about how often they should be recalibrated?
Yes, so these sensors that come with the kit, and you can see them there, there'll be a larger picture coming up. So you really should check your sensors for the concrete test 30 days prior to running the test. But with our salts calibration jar that comes with it, you can actually just test the sensors the day you plan to do your testing.
Okay.
And it's a pretty interesting little device to use. And I'll get into that in a little bit.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So basically the ASTM F2170 test helps you determine the equilibrium relative humidity at specific target depths of the concrete. And the value of this test is that it's a predictor of what the percent RH will be in that slab from the top to the bottom once the slab is covered. So for slabs on the ground, drying from the top surface only, the standard wants you to drill 40% of that slab thickness before to get a good indicator before you insert the plastic yellow sleeve to then insert the sensor into to conduct the test. So if you've got a 5-inch slab, and we'll be doing our test with a 5-inch slab, 40% of that 5-inch slab is 2 inches. So you want to be able to drill down to 40% of that slab. Most residential slabs are 4 inches. Commercial can be 4 to 5 inches. And if you've got a slab that's drying from the top and bottom, your target depth is 20%. But we're going to stick with the 40% depth right now for this particular PowerPoint.
Okay.
This gives you a better idea of actually what's included in the kit. We've talked about our MMS2 and the capabilities that meter has. We've got our 5-pack of mini hygrostick probes. Those probes come with a NIST traceable certificate. The salts calibration bottle that I touched upon that generates a relative humidity of 75%. So you can actually check the calibration of your probe prior to conducting the test, probe or probes, prior to conducting the test with this supplied salts bottle.
How long is that test usually for, Jayne?
The test, well, the salt solution should last you well over a year. To run the test, insert the sensor into this little salts test adapter, so that enables the sensor to hang in the airspace between the salt solution and the surface of the jar. Should be no more than 5 minutes before it reaches equilibrium, maximum.
That's what I was looking for. Good, thanks.
Yep. This is the extension lead that plugs into the sensor when it's placed in the sleeve and then plugs into the MMS2. So this is the lead that enables you to easily take readings of those sensors once they're placed in the sleeve in the concrete. The kit comes with a 20-pack of user-adjustable humidity sleeves, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The sensor extraction tool, this tool is also used to insert the sensor into the sleeve. The wire cleaning brush, we included that because the ASTM standard says to clean out the hole after you've drilled it with a wire brush to make sure it's good, clean, and smooth to insert the sensor. We also provide an SDS drill bit and a drill stop and the Allen key for the drill stop. So you're able to set the stop on the drill bit so you can drill precisely that 2-inch in this case for this particular test that we're going to be running. This is a slide that I put together to just kind of cite the important points to remember regarding the F2170, and if you all remember, you can get a copy of the formal standard on ASTM.org, and I believe it's a $35 to $40 fee, but it highlights and spells out everything you need to know about running that test. But the key test points for me is the importance of checking your sensor calibration prior to using it. So that salts bottle is invaluable to do that. It also says to set up 3 tests, 3 sleeves for the first 1,000 square feet and 1 additional test for each additional 1,000 square feet. Remember that for most slabs, you're drilling to 40% of the depth of the slab for a slab that is drying from the top only. And you want to allow 72 hours for the capped sleeve. So in other words, when you've created that little environment in the concrete and you've capped it, you want to leave it capped for 72 hours. And I know you can oftentimes get a good indication of what's going on with the concrete a lot sooner than that, but the standard still does call out that 72 hours, and I do believe they're trying to lessen that time as we speak. So just a word on the user-adjustable humidity sleeves. We've done a couple interesting things with it in terms of it being able to easily calculate that 40%. So if you know the thickness of your slab, you would just unscrew or screw that sleeve to the slab thickness. So in this case, 5 inches, if you can see it there on the screen, you would screw it down to the 5 inches, and that's automatically calculated to 40% of the depth of the slab, or in this case, 2 inches. So it does take out, the measuring piece of the equation and makes conducting the test a little bit easier to do. And this is patent pending. We also supply that 5-pack of mini hygrostick probes with a NIST traceable certificate, and it's very important to remember that these sensors are reusable. So once the test is conducted, you remove the sensor with that extraction tool, and you can use those sensors over and over again. And again, remember, you can also keep checking the calibration very easily as well. The sensor technology also, too, that we use for these sensors is a resistive sensor inside there that we produce and manufacture ourselves. And it's very, very tolerant of high condensing environments. So if you opt to leave that sensor in place and come back after a few weeks to take your reading, we're confident that that sensor technology can withstand those high humidities that it's left in, oftentimes 90% or higher. And if you remember, we're testing too with the concrete test here, typically 75 to 80% relative humidity. So anything that or under is considered a dry slab or a slab that you're able to put coating or carpeting over. Okay, so if there's a slab that's higher than that, a lot of people leave the sensor in place and come back after a couple weeks and take subsequent readings. This is just a little zoom-in shot of the insertion and extraction tool. So this is the tool that you use, and you grab the very top of the sensor, and as you're inserting it into the tool, and you'll see it in the step-by-step that I'll be doing, you push it down and then turn it a little bit to remove it, and get the sensor in place that way. Additionally, you remove it in the same way. You lock into it and then just pull it out of the sleeve. These are the concrete components, and there's that salts calibration bottle. To the left there, you see the basket that you insert the sensor into, and it ensures that the sensor hangs in that airspace between the surface of that salt solution and the surface of the jar. And it's that area there that's generating the 75% relative humidity that you want to look for when you're checking the calibration of your sensor. In the middle there, you've got the drill and the stop, the wire cleaning brush, and the hydrostick extension lead that we talked about earlier. So this is where my step-by-step guide, and I opted to do it this way as opposed to show the video. I believe John will be sending you the video after this presentation to go through exactly how to get the test run. And remember, we're running the test, the F2170, on a 5-inch concrete slab, step by step. And I want to thank Peter Craig of Concrete Constructives. These are snapshots of him actually doing the test. So again, before you start the test, you want to check the calibration of your mini hydrostick sensor with the supplied salts calibration test bottle. And remember, it's 75% that you're looking for. Again, our sensors reach equilibrium very quickly, so you'll be able to see a positive result within minutes. So as you start the test, the standard requests or suggests that you measure the relative humidity and temperature of your ambient conditions. So you want to get those readings. Again, it's very fast on the sensor that's mounted on the back of the MMS. You'll get your readings of relative humidity and temperature and record them. You then want to go and record the surface temperature of the slab. And that's very easily done with the surface infrared temperature sensor. I showed you the orange button on the tip of the meter that enables you to do that very quickly. Then you can go and use the non-invasive radio frequency feature of the MMS2 to go determine where on the concrete slab are your wettest areas and where would be the best places to conduct and to insert your initial sleeves. So this is a really useful feature of the MMS2 when it comes to conducting this test and finding the wettest areas of the slab that you want to test to place your sleeves.
Jayne, I have a quick question from the audience. So can you repeat the RH range for the dry concrete?
I'm sorry? So it's really up to the manufacturer, but Most dry slabs fall between 75 and 80%, but again, you would want to check with the manufacturer based on what's going to be going over that concrete slab before proceeding.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next step is to actually set the test up in the concrete. So we want to make sure that our sleeve is 2 inches long, which is 40% of that 5-inch slab. And we want to use the drill stop. So we want to be able to know that we're drilling very precisely, we're drilling 2%, and inserting that sleeve in the proper manner. And so you need to know that you can drill no less than 2%, but certainly no more than 2 inches, and certainly no more than 2 1/4 inches to place that sleeve. You would then go and use the wire brush and brush out the hole and vacuum out any debris that might be in that hole. And they also have suggest, blowing the air out, blowing any debris out as well to make sure it's just a really, really clean hole to conduct that test. Now it's time to place the sleeve. So we know that we want to screw that sleeve down to the number 5 because it's a 5-inch slab. You want to use a rubber mallet to get that sleeve in place, and the collar of that sleeve will actually slide down and sit flush to the surface of the concrete. You then want to go and do one of 2 things. So at this juncture, you can either cap the sleeve and leave it capped and come back after that 72 hours and insert your sensor. Or you can also, at this stage, insert your sensor and then cap the sleeve and leave it for the 72 hours. So you've got 2 options here. But whatever option you choose, the standard suggests leaving that sleeve capped for 72 hours.
If I can add to a point here, Jayne, one of the things that's also important is, especially in the restoration marketplace, is that if contractors are drying a building from a water damage, which includes concrete, that they want to try, and you made a good point in the non-penetrating feature of the MMS2, is determining where that moisture is at, so that when you do go to the RH test and using the sleeve and the sensor, that their equipment, dehumidification and air movement is shut down, allow for that building to acclimate to its normal operating conditions before performing this test, or they will get skewed results.
Good information.
So this is where you then, now whether you've opted to put the sensor in place or not, you need to seal the hole up, and like I said, leave it in place for that 72 hours. After that 72 hours, to obtain the readings, it's very simple, and hopefully you can see the connector in the top of that sensor there. You would come back, you would remove that rubber seal, so now you've got this little environment of relative humidity, basically, that you want to measure that reading. So again, the 80%, the 75% is what you're looking for. So you want to remove the seal and either insert the sensor, the reusable sensor, or plug into the sensor that's already in place, and you can see the connector there on the top, and carry on with taking your readings. It's as simple as that. Again, if you need to dry some more, you cap it back up, leave the sensor in there, and come back in due time and take another reading to see how your drying's going. And that tool that we use to insert the sensor is the same tool that you would use to remove it, and go back and use it again and again. And again, I think the key to that, because you are using it on various sites, a number of times is that salts calibration bottle. You can always check the calibration and the integrity of that reusable sensor. So Darren, is there anything else you'd like to add? That kind of concludes, the step-by-step of running the test.
No, you highlighted, I think, an important point is that traditionally with the ASTM F2170 test, usually there's the 75 to 80% is what you're typically shooting for. But one of the things that is important is to ensure that you find out with what type of flooring materials are going down and check with the manufacturer to see what their suggested RH limit is for that concrete, both for the flooring material and the adhesive that may be used, because both entities will typically have an RH that they are looking for, separate maybe from those numbers of the 75 to 80% of the ASTM test.
Exactly. I just wanted to bring that up for those folks who had no idea what it might be. But it is. You do have to check with the manufacturer, if possible, if you can actually get that information. That's best case, certainly. So from here, I wanted to go into another new product that we've released, and that's our Protimeter Digital Mini. And this is a simple-to-use, pin-based moisture meter, low cost. It's very similar to our mini moisture meter that's still yellow in color with an LED display. We've now changed it to a digital display reading in tenths of a percent. It's got a nice color reference. We call it the color arc. So when used in wood, it will give you basically a traffic light signal. When moisture readings are safe, you get a green indication. At risk, you get a yellow indication, and that's 17 to 19.9% in wood. And then a wet condition, 20% to 99.9 indicated on the color arc in red. So I wanted to mention this meter as well. It's got some nice features that we've built into it. It does have a mode. It has a hold feature, but it also has what we call our reference mode. So it enables you to set your dry standard or your baseline reference by keeping the right button depressed, and then 2 rows of numbers will appear on that meter. Your moisture reading, and then the points above your dry standard or the points below your dry standard. So it's a nice, useful feature. It's great to know it's there. People are excited about it, and I wanted to mention it because oftentimes it goes unnoticed. I also wanted to mention, and I failed to mention it, is all our meters come with a 2-year warranty with an additional 3 months of warranty if you register your meter online. So that's a 27-month warranty on all our handheld instruments. So I wanted to mention that before I went any further. This slide highlights the hold feature in the reference mode. And it's your basic, pin measurement, very, very accurate in wood. It's measuring the resistance between those 2 pin electrodes on the very tip of the meter. This meter will also take our accessories, so it will take our hammer electrode and our heavy-duty extension leads and all the pin-based accessories that plug into the side of the meter. That's the website there to go to register your meter. We do check that website to add to your warranty, so make sure you do that when you go ahead and buy this instrument or any of our instruments. And we also offer unlimited technical support for the life of the instrument through us as the manufacturer. And that's the number. We will be having a toll-free number soon. But that's our number right now to get in touch with us in terms of application or technical advice on using our handheld meters. And to buy product, you may want to contact John Otero at DRI Ease. That's his phone number and his email as well. They have a whole distribution network that sell the Protimeter products, and so we're very proud to call them our partner and get our instruments out there in the hands of good, capable people who can run this test and diagnose building problems with the Protimeter line of moisture meters. So thank you all very much. And I don't know if there are any questions out there, John, that you're seeing, but I'd be happy to try and field them if there are.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of the information that you presented is you've answered regarding how often you should be calibrated. You can use the MMS not just for concrete, but you know, all our other mitigation jobs as a thermal hygrometer. So it is. I think you've answered all the questions. We are giving away a digital mini, and we did the drawing, and the winner was Juan Castro. So we will get in touch with Juan, and we can get that out to him. But Darren, anything else you'd like to add?
No, just I think a couple of quick points is this is a kit that will not only be advantageous to new construction industry, but also to the restoration contractors. And when we give some consideration to the materials that are being dried, concrete is one of those materials that we haven't really paid a lot of attention to in the restoration marketplace as far as proper testing, some cases limitations to the equipment that we've had available in the past. So this is really a good addition to the restoration marketplace as far as a kit. It's available as a complete kit with the MMS2, or we will have an option where you will be able to get the sensors if you've already got an MMS2 meter within your business currently. So it gives you the ability to be able to ensure that you've hit the dry standard that manufacturers are looking for as far as flooring and adhesive companies are concerned.
Yeah, I just, Darren, thank you. I just want to elaborate on that. So for all you folks out there who have an MMS2 already, DRI Ease is making it available to you with everything except the MMS2 since you have it already. So, you know, you can add another kit to your arsenal of instrumentation to go out there and troubleshoot and diagnose moisture problems.
We have one question that one of the attendees has a older hammer probe and needs a new one. So you can purchase just the hammer probe by itself, correct?
The hammer probe, yep, we do sell as an accessory, but also, you know, the parts and pieces. So, you know, it's one of the strongest hammer electrodes out there, but it comes apart. So whatever part is needs, you know, servicing or needs replacement, we can just sell them that particular element of the hammer electrode. So, you know, if you want to give them my phone number, John, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Wow, time has flown by. We wanted to try to keep this at 45 minutes because we all know everybody's so busy. So, Darren, thank you for joining us. Jayne, thank you so much for providing us some new information for our industry. And thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar.